be bakkiriza okutunda emmotoka si ssaabaguzi ye mwesigwa olw'obungi bwa ssente ezimubanjibwa ez'ebuka $700 akwatiddwa era nga wakugira akumulwa ku poliisi ng'emisango egimulumirizibwa eginoonyerezebwako. Irene Nanyalo, NTV.
Good morning, how are you?
Ebule ennaku 18 ekiseera ekyateekebwawo okuwandiikibwako okufuna ddempo z'eggwanga kiggweko wabula tukitegeddeko nti waliwo abantu abakyagaaniddwa okwewandiisa nga babategeeza nga bwe batali bannayuganda. Abamu ku bano nno baazaalibwa era ng'eggwanga lyokka lye bamanyi Uganda okusinga bano bayimbi n'abawarabu.
So do you see how it's been?
Master plays are 2 days. The new one and the old one.
Your passport, it's a legal document.
I think this one of these. No, this is encoder 4 and 2. Those are both encoders. The master plays Rikuzino. One of these.
The issue of human rights on the continent is once again in the spotlight. A prominent human rights activist from Equatorial Guinea wants the African Union to do more to defend the human rights of ordinary citizens. Equatorial Guinea has one of the worst human rights records in Africa. NCA's Jamal Mashali takes a look at an issue that continues to dominate the headlines.
Compiling a list of the worst human rights abuses in Africa is not the easiest of tasks. The data varies according to the organization doing the measuring, so the rankings aren't entirely consistent. However, according to one organization, Freedom House, Africa's top 5 worst offenders are Equatorial Guinea, under the iron-fisted rule of longtime dictator Teodoro Obiang Nguema. That country is followed by Eritrea, Libya, Somalia, and Sudan. From the forcible enlisting of child soldiers by armed groups to the abduction and maiming of civilians, especially women and girls, by armed militias, there's plenty of evidence of sectarian massacres along religious, ethnic, and cultural lines. So, what recourse is there for victims of such atrocities? The most prominent player is the International Criminal Court in The Hague. But it's a thorny issue for African leaders, who accuse it of conducting a witch hunt against Africans. The latest round of criticism has come from its prosecution of Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. At face value, the court's track record seems to support those assertions. Currently, all 15 of the cases before the ICC hail from 7 African countries, namely Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, Kenya, Central African Republic, Ivory Coast, and Libya. But what the critics failed to mention is that most of those currently before The Hague have been sent there by fellow Africans. Even the harshest critics of the ICC seem to agree, though, that Africa desperately needs its own mechanism to sanction and punish human rights violators. The African Union's African Court on Human Rights, on paper at least, is meant to try and sanction those responsible for committing human rights atrocities. When
And for tough stains, there's new Omo Fast Action. Its super fast cleaning technology removes stains fast. New Omo, no one removes tough stains faster.
Program Guide
is brought to you by
Jessa Smooth Yogurt. Program Guide. Jessa Smooth Yogurt comes in various flavors like vanilla, strawberry, and banana. Jessa Farm Dairy. Always trusted, always delicious.
today's highlight.
Do you really want to know if I've hurt anybody? Yes, I am guilty. I did a lot of harm. But why? Because I fell madly in love. Antonia Guerra is the only one who's guilty. She is responsible for all the murders that have been committed here in San Pedro, son.
I object. What do you mean that you object? That's totally absurd.
Mr. Villegas is very sick. He's talking nonsense.
I've never been more sane than I am today.
Today's highlight.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here.
What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week?
I say they're shopping. Me, I'd be looking to sell.
At what price?
More. Much, much more.
I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
preparation for a phenomenal Friday, make sure that all your negative attitudes are properly stashed away. And depending on what ship you're on, whether it's African coffee or Jack Daniels, make sure that you're ready to take off. And to get us started, check out your question of the day. Right, someone needs to get me my can so get you some morning at NTV. You can also use your SFJ handles at MBGold2 is my guy at Dakaba Chigongo and will be here to update us later in the show. And of course, Mabel,
like you said earlier, I left my negative attitudes, I don't know where, along the way when I was coming from home. I am going to enjoy this weekend, and I hope you are too.
Awesome.
Makers on the public
Procurement and Disposal Public Assets Authority, international companies, said Uganda loses over
between 9 and 12%, but
it's into $1 million.
He was allowed, but at the
I said you didn't register.
Officials at the authorities, if they have authentic.
The national coordinators, the ministry.
Then I don't know. I saw you doing the intro, and I said
I will be back
to their reckless long in this country
to their job.
I get your point of we need to keep adding value to ourselves. Somebody did say that if you know what you are worth, you will stop giving people discounts. Now, of course, there could be some negative innuendos to that. But look, I think we need to keep adding value, yeah? And the more value you add to yourself, the more you're able to put up a better bargain for yourself, yeah? But that is not in any way exculpable for government to say, look, we shall not pay you for 5-6 months. What nonsense is that?
Because
you're not adding value to yourself. No. Teachers need to be paid, especially if there's an agreement, yeah? This is what you're going to be paying me. All right, can it come through on time? For starters, it is a niggardly pay. You know, it is not much compared to the work they do, to, you know, what they need the money for, etc., etc. But that for now might not even be the big deal. But you see, little as it is, you don't deliver it on time. It's not excusable.
Well, so my question, for example, is what is the difference between teachers in Kenya or doctors in Kenya?
Or here in Rwanda?
Yes.
It's a very
What's
simple
the difference?
Very simple.
Do this because I know teachers in Kenya went on strike, doctors went on strike, lay their tools down, and government responded. Is it the organization in trade unions that that have a strong influence on government? What are the teachers in Kenya or Rwanda or doctors in Kenya and Rwanda do that these ones have failed to realize?
Not much, because you should know by now that Kenya actually takes on many of our doctors. Rwanda! Many of our doctors have gone there.
And professors are in Rwanda.
That kind of thing. The bottom line is very simple. Their governments value these people a lot more than ours. As simple as that, and that is why Ugandan doctors will leave this place, go to the other side, and they are paid a lot better, yeah? But their governments realize that, look, this is workmanship that we need. We need doctors, we need teachers, we should pay them for a good job that they do, and they do that.
Or it's because the people that go there have attached value to them. So, for example, if you're a professor, you'll go and ask, give me 30 million shillings if you want me to teach this university. That's it. You want the best, you pay for it. Because I know teachers who cannot reason with a student. Where the student, and you feel sorry, like, so who is teaching who?
I see that point of they probably don't put up a very good bargain. Like I said, if you don't know what you're worth, you'll keep giving people discounts. You don't know what it is that the kind of value that is attached to you. But again, that is not excusable. I think as a government, we need to show that we value these people, and that is leadership, So you do not say, for goodness sake, Brian, if you're hiring a maid, and she cannot bargain or that kind of thing, don't give her 10K per month just because she can't bargain, she's desperate and that kind of thing. No, you should be reasonable and say, compared to the kind of work that you do, etc., etc., I'll give you this kind of money. It might even shock them, and they're like, eh. But as an individual, you should be reasonable. And I think our government needs to be reasonable and pay these people something that is good. They may not be able to bargain well enough, but so what?
Well, I can tell you that my maid does not complain.
She does not complain. I hope you're not giving her 10K. Talking about money, police have suspended a mass wedding that it was meant to have. Why? It is cash strapped. About 50 officers were going to participate in this, which should be a good thing. Yeah, we need to see people getting married the right way. This, I want to be like you, yeah? And so if people can, would you actually get married in a mass wedding? Okay, that's a too late question to ask you, but if the clock was to be rewound.
Well, I think it depends on your financial status. Yeah, and I feel, like sometimes I go to weddings and I think to myself, especially when I know the couple, I know that they are not going to survive the first, maybe the guy has planned, but you can kind of see that the first 6 months of their marriage, they're going to be cash-strapped. Yeah, so for me, I think for me, what is important, set your honeymoon. The rest, who cares?
But even your honeymoon, for the first time, if you cannot afford to fly and go elsewhere, there's good places in this country, very awesome ones.
Yes.
Go there. 5 years down the road, when you have a few dimes to your name, fly and go to the Bahamas or whatever the case might be. But I get by that. I see people getting loans for their weddings. And I'm thinking, So what happens when you cannot pay? They take your wife, you see the collateral security.
So this is a picture of the is in Italy at the moment. She was able to leave Sudan eventually. She had been after the story that we aired earlier of being mixed race and people thinking you're not Ugandan just because maybe you're lighter or because one of your parents wasn't Ugandan. Acting white and being black. Obama has launched something called Being My Brother's Keeper. Black people who speak proper English, who have good jobs, are usually accused of acting white and wanting to be white, and it kind of keeps them in the background. So this lady here is writing that she's happy President Obama is doing something for the minorities there. President Obama was also asked what he is doing for the American Indian people to revitalize their language and culture. He went on to say that what's great about America is that the way we take all these cultures and we make one culture out of it. I think Brian would be happy to know that, as he says, he is first Ugandan before he is Muganda. Now, this is really sad. I'm going to press play here and hopefully you'll be able to see this building explode, and it has exploded. That is actually Jonah's tomb in Iraq. It was bombed. It is a revered shrine, both in Islamic and in the Jewish and Christian traditions. It is believed that Jonah, who was swallowed by a fish, was buried here. So now some people blew it up, a video which is actually on CNN, and it's quite sad there that this fighting does not seem to end at all. Again here we have the story of the lady who was convicted for her faith, and another reason she met the Pope was because the Pope felt close to her and wanted to show solidarity with all the others who are suffering for their faith. Social media users feel ugly and inadequate, according to a survey done. Social media sites make almost 2/3 of the people who use them feel inadequate about their own achievements and jealous of others. According to this survey, people feel they haven't achieved as much as their contemporaries, and it makes them feeling more attached to others. As a result, they say they look at other people and see they're well connected, probably have achieved more, have more in their lives, and it leaves them feeling inadequate. I don't know if that's about you. Now, the ferry, there was a South Korean ferry that crashed, I should say, and the businessman who was linked to the ferry died about 2 weeks ago. However, it is not clear what caused his death. He was the most wanted man in Korea, and yeah, they are still trying to find out what exactly killed him. There's no trace of drugs in his body. And that's all we had for you here on Morning at NTV. The show does continue after this break.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
Yes, Towakana with 1 million shillings up for grabs.
crabs every day. Kagwira woku Airtel Money. Simply send and receive money. Top up your airtime or data. Pay for utility bills, groceries, fuel, and much more with Airtel Money. And you could be one of the day's 5 lucky winners. And if Mr. Money and his crew find you making a transaction, you win cash on the spot. Terms and conditions apply.
Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs. Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs,
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that?
The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? That's a mega win!
Hello? King Julian, you are truly inspiring. Ow! SpongeBob!
Coming soon on NTV. Soon on NTV. You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
We now join Joel for today's big story. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning, Mabel. I'm sure you've heard about GMOs, genetically modified organisms. We want to talk a little bit about this. Farmers, especially in this country, are concerned that, look, this is going to take away the little that we have because, you know, for some of these seedlings, for example, you plant them, you cannot replant them. And many other concerns, you know, safety, etc., etc. There is a bill to that effect. We'll talk that when we get back shortly. Welcome to the big story. My name is Joel Senyonyi, and joining me this morning, Agnes Chirabo. Agnes is National Coordinator, Foods Rights Alliance. Good to have you here, Agnes.
Wonderful.
The gentleman is Arthur Makara. Arthur Makara is Executive Director, Science Foundation for Livelihoods and Development. You're welcome, Arthur.
Thank you.
Let me begin with you, Agnes. The National Biotechnology and Biosafety and Biosafety Bill 2012. What are your concerns about this bill?
One, I think we need also to understand the trends in which we are developing the law. We had a policy in 2009. I think there was some bit of luck that for the first time we are coming up with a legislation having a policy, although I still have issues with the state of the policy. I think I had not developed interest in looking at these things. Then we moved into enacting a law. And we have had pertinent issues about the law, and I'm glad that we are here to highlight some of these issues. If you're going GMO, you have 3 choices to make as a country. You have either to make a restrictive or regulative law. You either put a law that completely bans, or you make a permissive law. And now, for Uganda's case, if you look critically into our law, it is a permissive law. It's a permissive law, and it is quite very, very unfortunate that up to the present day, because we haven't looked at the new version yet, if it is there anyway, up to the present day or the state of the bill was still very weak on regulations, on safety, on precautionary measures, on safeguards. And these are some of the issues that we are very concerned about. And yet we are premising the bill on the tenets of the Cartagena Protocol of 2003, which really specifies that if you're going to go GMO, one, you must have a regulation, I think, which is a choice that maybe the country Uganda wants to take. But then two, what kind of regulations? You have to put precautionary measures, you have to put safeguards, you have to put liabilities, some of the critical issues that are completely still absent in our law.
Arthur, this whole GMO thing, you know, extends all over. But let's for now look at the farmers, for example. One of the biggest concerns is, look, when they get these genetically modified seedlings, they can only plant them. Now, you see, for our farmers in this country, the best they have is the fact that after, you know, whatever it is that they planted has grown up, they can actually replant. With these GMOs, you cannot replant them. So you have to keep going back to some of these big multinationals that produce these seedlings and so on. Do you feel the concern of the farmers?
Yeah, to begin with, what you are raising is actually propaganda. There's nothing like plants or seeds which don't germinate. So that's propaganda from those who think that this technology should not be utilized.
We have had some of them here. After farmers have tried to
allow me
and they have not
allow me to explain, because you asked me and you should give me time to explain. Because propaganda and has been even magnified by the media, including the NTV, I'm sorry to say. I want to indicate that there is no one who develops a technology just to restrict it from being used. And I would want also to first, I will come back to those issues, but I want first chip in Agnes's submission, where she said you can make, there are three options for making a law, and when she was explaining, she only explained two, a restrictive and a permissive. And quickly jump to say that Uganda's law is permissive. So what is in between restrictive and permissive? I think that's what Uganda needs, something between restrictive and permissive, something regulatory. And that's what Uganda is moving forward to do. Also, I would like to correct her that the policy was not passed in 2009. The policy is here, it's of April 2008. And it is premised on what she calls the Cartagena Protocol on biosafety. There she is correct. And Uganda has moved forward after putting a policy in law. Then you don't just sit. So she should not blame herself because she was not yet active during that time. Process had to take place, the policy was to put in place, and from there a law is now in the offing. And the role of all stakeholders, including Food Rights Alliance, is to make their contribution, to make their views submitted to the committee, and then the committee will look at them, and eventually Parliament will choose which submissions can be incorporated and those which cannot be incorporated. Now, to go back to the seed and the farmers, I want to make this clear that there's nowhere in the world where you have seeds that don't germinate. And biotechnology and genetic engineering is not for producing such kinds of seeds. For instance, in Uganda, the cassava which is being done, which is being worked on at Namulonge, you cannot stop cassava from germinating. Farmers will have cuttings and continue growing them and proceed like that. The same applies to the bananas, which are resistant to banana bacterial wilt. The same way, you will have suckers and plant them and continue. So when you come to seeded crops, I think I will explain that later.
You talked about propaganda. I hope that you know the English definition of the word propaganda, because we in the media we report what we see on ground. You say that nobody in the world produces these seedlings and so on, so that we cannot replant them. For goodness sake, they are business people, the likes of Monsanto and all these other multinationals, you know, because they want you to keep going back to them to buy seedlings. You cannot replant what you have. They've got to keep making money. And we had some of these seedlings used here. We did actually cover stories where farmers were telling us, look, we replant these things, they do not germinate. That does not sound like propaganda, Arthur.
It is propaganda, and I insist it's propaganda. And it's also unfortunate that this technology has come at the time when some companies which have bad names also possibly have been branded or are also possibly not doing well, or they have bad public relations image where they are. But this is a science, this is a technology, this is an innovation. And some of you, the journalists, have even been to our labs at Namulonge. We don't have a Monsanto at Namulonge.
It's just an example. That's just an example that I use. Let me get back to Agnes.
Those companies are there, and they have their bad image, and so happens that this revolution has taken place at the time when they have failed to manage their public relations. But I would want to clarify that that kind of seed is nowhere, and no one is about to make it.
Agnes, the concerns of the likes of Arthur say, look, science has gotten to go into the way we do things. Yeah, if Uganda is talked about to have potential to be a food basket for the region and for the entire of Africa. Yeah, but if we're going to continue using the rudimentary means that we use to farm, to plant, etc., it is not working, and that's why they say, let's go GMO. Let's add a bit of touch to these things. Let's add some scientific value so that we have, bigger produce, etc., etc.
I think that could be true, but also the other issue is to turn the coin the other side and also try to understand the situation you're in and the kind of people that you're talking to, or the kind of people that the kind of environment that you're operating in. Science could be having the potential to change things, but not in an environment like Uganda's. I don't think we have sat absolutely to try and understand what are the challenges of our agriculture and farming system. And let me tell you this. One, Arthur knows that there is no GMO so far made to increase yield. It is made for disease, for pest, for resistance to herbicide, and so on and so forth.
And so they're saying, what is wrong with that?
What is the situation of the farming system in Uganda? I think that is where we need to lay the ground flat and try to understand our situation. Just look at the policy trends in which we are moving in. These answers will make those things and put them there, and they are not going to cause the change. Maybe they would good-heartedly wanted to change because of the so many implications that the system is having and the environment in which our farmers are undertaking their production. But like, I'm going back, let me also chip in what Arthur has submitted. Arthur is aware that at one point seeds were made with a terminator gene. And it was people who make noise like me that lived that time that raised noise, and that technology is reportedly shelved, but it has never been made. So he should not come here and tell us that it has never been made in the world. It was made, and only that it was shelved because people raised 1,000,001 issues, and it is shelved somewhere. So the fact is that technology with the terminator gene has ever been made. People need to understand the situation that we are in. Yes, we have potential to be the food basket of this region, but also for Africa, because Israel is saying, can Uganda only give me Karamoja and I feed the world? And all of us
apparently, because Israel is the biggest exporter of bananas, they use soil they got from here. They exported it on planes.
Yes, so they are now asking for only Karamoja, where many of us do not want to go and do production. There are inherent issues within our agriculture and the agriculture system, and they are not going to be addressed by technology. And I think we have not been fair to say that the rudimentary methods of production the farmers are using are only restricted to seed, perhaps. I'm telling you, even if the GMO is put on the table, when the farmer is waiting for the first rain to open the ground, and by the time she makes or prepares the field, the rain has gone down, the GMO is not going to provide to provide the locate miracles. The issue of post-harvest handling. I'm telling you, this country, as I speak now, has enough food to even feed the population that we are being threatened of 2050. But we are not managing the food rightly. And here we are rushing for a technology that we do not have capacity to regulate and manage.
I'm trying to hear her out, and I'm thinking we actually have good capacity. Never mind that sometimes Karamoja is starving, etc., etc. Yet other places we are throwing away food, and one would imagine that the issue is the way we are unable to distribute this food rightfully, etc., etc. Why are we in a rush to get to this science that seems... just a minute, Arthur, let me ask the question. Why are we rushing to this technology that seems very convoluted? We are not too sure how it very much operates. You scientists tell us you know how it operates. People down there are not very convinced yet. What's with the rush?
So it's all because of this misconception.
And propaganda, since you like the word. I hope you know what it means.
Because you can see it is in propaganda. There's a mixing up of things from what Agnes is submitting. Because no one is telling you that we should stop, we should not work towards irrigation. We should not work towards the improvement of agronomy. No one is telling you we should not handle post-harvest handling. A genetically modified crop yield will need to be post-harvest managed very well. It will need to be irrigated. So the issue of mixing up ideas is what causes the problem. You get it? Because what we are talking about here is she's looking at as if this technology is coming to substitute or replace or misdirect what is already ongoing.
Perhaps the question is, why do we seem like we are doing this in a surreptitious manner? We are rushing to do it. Is there such a big need for the rush?
People have made it look suspicious, but the intentions for developing this technology are in good faith. For instance, when you look at the problem of the banana bacterial wilt, I would like Agnes to tell us what can be used or what innovation can be made to address the devastating banana bacterial wilt, the cassava mosaic wilt. So she's talking about there's no GM that is made to increase yield. What is the cause of decrease in yield? You see, the challenge with the agricultural sector is that everyone comes there and becomes an expert. A scientist who can be able to understand this crop is suffering from a bacterial disease. From analysis, from his scientific experience, from biological analysis, that this crop is suffering from a disease, and the disease is bacterial in nature. The way someone can be able to understand that someone is suffering from malaria, and it is transmitted by a mosquito. So why should you demonize such a person? So it is, as I've said, propaganda that has made science to look to be doing things in bad faith. But the intention of science is properly and realistically in good faith.
Let me pick it up from there, the bit of...
But I don't want to leave without touching again on the issue of what she called the seeds which don't germinate. Yes, she has accepted that, that the seeds, that this technology was shelved. But at one time it had been developed. But I would like to say that it was at conceptualization level. You see, every technology must first be conceptualized and eventually it is developed. So it has never reached a level where it is at release level or to be taken to the hands of the farmer. So, and they are out there confusing the public, demonizing hybrids. And when they go there in their outreach programs and capacity building programs, they see that open pollinated seed really don't yield well. And they promote hybrids on the ground. But when they come here, they say science should not work. If you go to seed companies or whoever is distributing seed here in Uganda, all the seed is longe, from longe 2H, longe 3H, longe 5. Why is the name longe? Do you know where the name longe comes from? It is from Namlonge. So the scientists have been doing, this is a continuation. Scientists must be allowed to be continuous. So if you are standing on the way of science because of the allegation and propaganda, because Agnes cannot explain to me even how a GMO is made at scientific level.
Look, yes. Agnes, there are these concerns of banana wilt and all these other ills that attack farmers to produce. Just a minute, Arthur. All these ills that attack the crops and they're not able to yield, etc., etc. And if science is coming in to remedy this, because I've seen farmers cry of, look, I had this entire crop, I was about to harvest it, and it got eaten up by pests, etc., etc. So if this is coming in to remedy the issue, why not?
And if it fails, then what? Because they have made several attempts, and he's aware, and that is why that is why they are breeding one line after the other, one line after the other, one line.
Twice shy?
No, not once bitten, twice shy. But I think let me pick it where Arthur feels more comfortable. Propaganda. And if he is accusing anybody of propaganda, they should as well accuse themselves of the propaganda. I think it is also not fair. And I think why we have gone up to this level is the fact that the likes of Arthur think that whoever did not pursue science to their level actually doesn't have the smallest brain to make a contribution into a process that they have done. And I think that has not been absolutely fair. And two, they have also failed. They have also failed to explain. I'm not under obligation to explain what they are doing. They are also supposed to explain what they are doing. So we are all equally in it. And that propaganda he's talking about, they are also having the same propaganda, telling that if we put GMO on the table, we shall go back, sit and relax, and then things will be done. We have seen science advancing and failing and continuing to advance and fail. They are promoting as if it is the end in itself. It isn't the end in itself. And I want Arthur to hear me out. Arthur, we do not have the capacity as the country to take on the regulatory mechanisms that are required to ensure food safety. He's aware. For him, he's absolutely and his colleagues doing their noble cause. And the regulatory role is not theirs. And we are raising issues that we do not have the capacity as a country to undertake the precautionary measures that are mandated to us to take. I think what propaganda is in that? Because there cannot be a judge and a jury of their own case.
Arthur, there are concerns that, look, for scientists like yourself, whom we should be able to trust, people are beginning to lose trust. Why? Because they feel these big multinationals fuel you people very nicely. And so when you are out there, we tend to think, okay, this guy is a scientist, but now what he's talking about, the propaganda, now that you like the word, is because there is a push behind at the end of the day. Because these guys want you to sell their products, so as scientists, you go out there, try and promote it, even when at the back of your minds you know that, this might not be too good for us as a country.
I think what, even from what she has just said, you see a lot of contradiction. We don't have regulatory means and capacity, and the law is in place, and you are saying it is too
But
permissive.
the law is permissive. The law doesn't have major, no, just look at the objective. The major objective of the law is to facilitate and no, I mean the bill. Okay, the bill. It is the objective is talking about facilitating and not regulating.
So what did you submit to the committee reviewing
You're
the bill?
not supposed to hold me accountable for whether I submitted to the committee or I didn't submit to the committee. We all did what we did, and we are here discussing the state of play. We are here discussing the state of play.
So
science is a good thing.
What I'm trying to
Arthur,
say, this issue of we don't have capacity, and then the capacity is being put in place, and you are saying you're not supposed to contribute.
How many laws have been put and have never been implemented here?
There's that too.
So that's, of course, you have to ensure that and advocate that institutions which will be provided to do oversight should be put in place. But also that we don't want to explain what we are doing. I don't know whether you have visited some of these labs. I want to assure that the laboratory capacity, the scientific capacity is in place. And having this law will also contribute to strengthening and building more capacity. You've seen that even the president is saying that some of the oil resources will have to be put into science and technology capacity. How long is Ghana going to continue importing everything from abroad? When the phones were coming, they were as huge as this. But over a few years, everyone is carrying an iPad. So, and even the size of the phones have changed tremendously. We are no longer even using the keyboard. You have to use the touch screen. Someone somewhere is doing the scientific work. So when you have people here demonizing and trying to limit the work of the scientists, and because they are saying that, because even if they cannot explain the science, even if they don't understand the science, they should be given the voice. No one is stopping from giving the voice, and that's why I'm saying that you should go to the Parliament, to the Committee on Science and Technology, and make your submissions.
Talking about going to Parliament, I think we need to wrap this up so that we can allow you to have time to go to Parliament. I hope those guys are waiting for you. Arthur Makara and Agnes Kirabo, it's been a pleasure having you here. My opinion is coming up shortly. Look, science is a good thing, yeah, but as we, push for science, etc., we need to be sure that there are certain ramifications that come with science, It is a good thing. Science has done a lot. We have made stupendous progress, as we've been talking about phones and so many other things, And I think we need to keep pushing and pushing for science. But, as we push for that, can we ensure that, there is safety? Can we ensure that we can extricate ourselves from the ramifications that might come from science gone bad? I think that is something we need to ruminate over, even as we push for these GMOs. Farmers do not quite understand them. There are concerns about them. Those that have used them are a little bit worried about, their modus operandi. And I think we need not to throw these things out of the window. Let's continue with the debate and ultimately see what is good for this country, and we move forward with that. That's the big story for this morning. Morning at NTV continues shortly. Do stay with us.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
We've been advocating for a certificate for gender and equity. We feel that the Attorney General is not the rightful competent authority to issue this certificate, but rather the Equal Opportunities Commission. We feel so because the Attorney General does not have the competent authority to deal with matters of affirmative action and issues of marginalization, and additionally, He is a member of the cabinet that approves the budget framework paper and is bound by collective responsibility.
You see, a monkey cannot preside over issues of the forest. Therefore, ask your MP to support the replacement of the Attorney General with the Equal Opportunities Commission in the Public Finance Bill 2012.
This message is brought to you by CS Bank.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Aro, give me 5 stress, 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought campasas. Omwana yena sobolo gamba super deep. Simiaka jafe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent. That village accent. Now.
Okay, why didn't you when you got political tayaka no muzanga nakajawa.
Africa,
my heritage.
My heritage. Hashtag AMH.
Yes.
And she'll be in London next week to launch this. And of course, we're trying to look at, especially, what does fashion say about you? If you're a guy, what do you have to dress to particular? Are there particular, for example, clothes that you must wear for particular events? Because I've seen guys, for example, you're at a funeral and this guy walks in with bright yellow shirt and you're thinking to yourself, dude, I think the attention is on the...
Yeah, but you know what, in fashion, I think everyone expresses themselves through fashion. So it's difficult for you to say, okay, you have to dress this way or you have to dress that way. Some people are just expressing how they are feeling by how they dress. So if I go, to a funeral in a bright yellow dress would be... But I love yellow, but I'll probably be one of those people that can be able to do that.
Yeah.
But what not to wear and all of that, so that some people look up to.
Models are still coming out.
This is a kaftan, and can wear to if you put it on the bag.
It's part of the collection. What do you call?
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
La Patrona.
I am your judge and executioner. Don't you forget it.
Whoa, wait, bro. Are you aware that if I walk up this door, I'm a dead man? I'm not your bro or your buddy or anything. And if Falmaceda finds out that you're here, he'll arrest me, and I won't allow that. I can't. I'm faithful to you, my forbidden fruit, my sweetie. I love you. Good night. Kisses. I love you. You finished? Oh my God. I thought I was gonna lapse into a diabetic coma from all the sweet sappiness. I've never heard such a ridiculous conversation. If I were you, I wouldn't go in there, Antonia.
La Patrona.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Just joining us, it's morning at NTV. We're still at the rooftop of the Kampala Surrey Hotel. And you can join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter. Morning at NTV is our Facebook page, and at morning at NTV. Please feel free to send the SMS to 6565. Before the break, we had Sylvia Owori, a person who comes with more than 14 years of experience in the fashion industry. Just launched a new clothing line. You can check it out. We'll be in London next week to launch it. And really, dude, you can't walk.
He was like Mr. Bean.
Yeah, you see, that's what you don't get about fashion, man. All that is part of fashion.
Oh, we don't
That's also something you don't get, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, fashion has lots of, variations.
Yeah.
So what I just did is what they call the street version. Thank you.
Wait, that?
Street version is going to the most hotel, clubs, and all those things. Just did street version, and I know in Africa, man, you've got to be part of it.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
got it.
Yeah, man.
Swag.
But you did nothing. Meanwhile. Try it.
No,
No, still have to. Why don't you try it?
It's not
Because
as
you can't.
easy as it looks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you can see how hard it was for me. Thank you.
But she has walked before on the show, and she did
Yes.
a decent job.
She walked to the seat where she was going to talk from me. It's okay. I
Yeah,
understand.
She did it. There was like a red carpet here.
Good
on
thing I do
Valentine's. She
sports.
did it.
There's no modeling in sports and Simanya walkways.
But you have guys who are like models, and they say they are better models than sportsmen.
They are role models, not models of walkways. What
I
are
think
they
someone
called?
like Ronaldo models.
No,
David Beckham, they model. They do it.
Beckham, yeah, it's part of his business, but maybe he was trained. I was not. What I did is me, so I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, let's
can't
talk
find
sport.
this
Thank you
Muchiga?
very much.
Where are you? We know that you are competent.
Exactly.
Commonwealth Games started.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Uganda was in action. For Lunkuse, is it called Kisulo, Kawoya, Rukunye? How did it go for them?
I don't know how to call it a mixed day for Uganda, but I think fairly okay by our standards, not by the standards of the Commonwealth, because we didn't do that good. Apart from the badminton team that beat up on the Kenyans 3-2, of course led by Edwin Ikiring, Netherlands-based Ugandan who plays that side. Apart from those, the rest of the guys, of course, the Commonwealth came to an end as fast as the first day. Jamila Lunkuse finishing second in I think it was the second heat that she was in, but not good enough to qualify for the semis, and of course later on for the finals. Chisulo, same thing, qualifying fourth in the second heat, I think of 50-meter breaststroke, and then 100. Notokawea started off well, winning his first out, and then the other guy have been squash, swim, good enough, but a lot because of facilities, but something huge here. He has such an amazing finish to his races.
Why did he decide to?
No, I think he hasn't yet fully recovered, he says. And there's not so much pushing most of these big athletes at the Commonwealth.
That's what Dakaba has been saying, which is painful.
There's not so much,
because to us it's a big thing.
No,
to me it's a big thing.
It is a big thing to
people
you.
Don't. They
It
prefer
is
the
a big
World
thing to you, but to
Athletics
start
and
with, remember, you
Olympics.
don't participate. Yeah. Maybe you don't have such a big name like Usain Bolt, maybe the rest of the guys who haven't taken part, Blake, the Cavendishes in cycling, and of course now Mo Farah pulling out. Because if it was Olympics, I feel and believe maybe Mo Farah would have risked a little bit. But he finds Commonwealth, a lower level, because there's got to be more prize money. There's got to be more appearance money, maybe, for them. And booking him at an event where not good once.
Well, this guy has already won real.
And he's organized defensively, tough team to break down. And the new coach, not actually the new coach who was there last season, but was a playing coach, Amuika, he's changed one or two things about it. I think they've improved their offense. So that would bother Power in one or the other, especially size inside, because Power don't have Philip Aminu suspended. Here you have got Makiadi, they've got Obol, the Sudanese guy, very tall guy, and they also have Gombia. I think they have the tallest, probably, centers. Not after probably. If City Hall signed, there's a guy called Pichu, he's going to come from Congo. Here you at the moment have the tallest centers in basketball, and with size, basketball, size is almost sometimes everything.
Yeah.
So they will bother, there's no doubt, power in the inside because they might not have enough size, but they'll be lacking one or two things from the guard point. I mean, their guards are not as good as you'd want them to be, offensively especially. I think enough. Chris Omani gives them a lot going forward. So it's here and there, and for power experience, a lot of it. And Norman Dongeke MacGyver, team
rugby, the national, the advantage.
Heathens and Cobs. A couple of Pirates are traveling to Ginger. Of course, Heathens and Buffalo. Kidding, Asamoah is an experienced coach has been there.
Teams,
Of course, the squad, a couple of guys, squad 7 before I know that. So, but anyways, Van Gaal is a man who demands a lot from his team. So 7
Well,
nearly
you wanted
knows.
10?
No. First of all, it's a friendly.
Yeah.
LA Galaxy is not Arsenal, it's not Chelsea, it's not City, it's not Barcelona, it's not Madrid. So he knows that actually, while we scored 7, any manager will be happy if we scored 7. It's not the biggest of tests that we had.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of work still to do. And that's why he's trying to let the players know we scored 7, but there's a lot of work to do.
Let's keep
and
it
that's
at
why
that.
it was exactly, probably keep it at that. But a couple of course, points to note in the game. Handa Herrera, the new signing, had a brilliant game. A fantastic display for him. And of course, when you have your striker scoring, it's always important. It doesn't matter which game you're playing. Even if it's a team of Bryans you're playing against, for as long as strikers
Even if it's the second 11.
Exactly. Moses had taken this will be facing Real Madrid. They need a defender. Patrick
Really
Silva
lost
left.
a lot.
Yeah. They need and there's been